Good afternoon, everyone. We're glad to welcome you on our webinar dedicated to the SOC strategy. My name is Elena Babak, and I will be the host of our today's event. I would like to share some organizational points. Our webinar will last for 1 hour, and our speakers are the specialists of the Infopulse company, Dmitry Sirish and Konstantin Lasinsky. Please note that all the participants are in the mute mode, but we welcome you to ask the questions, and please use our chat. Our speakers will be happy to answer all the questions during the Q&A session at the end of the webinar. This webinar is being recorded, and we will definitely share both the recording and the presentational materials most likely during this week. If you have any additional questions after the event, please feel free to write us, and we will definitely redirect questions to our speakers. We also want to tell you briefly about the Infopulse. Infopulse is a part of the leading Nordic digital services company Tietoevry, and it is an international vendor of IT services to SMEs and Fortune 100 companies across the globe. Founded in 1991, the company has a team of over 2,300 professionals, and it is represented in 7 countries across the globe. Infopulse was recognized as a Microsoft Azure Expert Managed Service Provider in 2021. MSP recognition marks an essential milestone in Infopulse's 17 years collaboration with Microsoft. Infopulse is a global outsourcing 100 company recognized by IAOP and was named as a finalist of European Software Testing Awards in 2020 and 2021. In 2019, Infopulse became the Microsoft Country Partner of the Year for Ukraine. And that's all from my side. And now I would like to give a word to our first speaker, Konstantin. Thank you very much.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Elena. So today we will speak about SOC enhancement strategies and the way to achieve the realistic enhancements. So let's begin. First of all, let's talk about threat modeling. We think that it's the first step that should be conducted during SOC enhancement strategy. So what threat model is? It is an overview or schema that shows possible attack vectors, possible techniques that can be used to breach your organization. It also outlines those services, what you have, technologies that are used, how you mitigate those risks and vulnerabilities, and so on. So this is a schema looking at which you can understand how your organization can be attacked and how it is protected at the moment. A good threat model must answer 3 main questions. The first one, where am I most vulnerable to attacks? Because attackers always try to breach through most weak and or most vulnerable place. So you must know your weaknesses and vulnerabilities. The second question, what are the most relevant threats? This means that you must understand the specifics of your organization, of your business process, or even your region or industry, and understand relevant threats for your organization. And the third question is, what do you need to safeguard against those threats? It means that you must understand the threats, you must understand how they are exploited, what attackers need to exploit them, and what tools, what services, what solutions you need to mitigate them. So as a result, threat model must contain or define the following information. You must define your organization structure. It means physical locations, office locations, or all remote connections, and all points of presence where you have your equipment, where your corporate perimeter is located, what remote connections can be made. It also must contain physical architecture and security architecture. Architecture of your security solutions, like firewalls, WAF solutions, all routers, switches inside your organization, just to understand the schema of the organization. Then it must contain information about assets. First of all, of course, you must start from the critical assets, but then it must contain all assets in the organization. The next step is identity vulnerabilities and risks tied to identity. You must understand where corporate identities are used, like external SaaS solutions, external forms where corporate login can be used to authenticate, and what external services do you host in your infrastructure, and where your identities are used, because it's a typical and widely used attack vector. Then you must understand how to countermeasure those risks and vulnerabilities and define it in this threat model. Next, threat model must define realistic current security state of organization and targets or tasks that SOC should monitor, should analyze, and configure. And the final step is about monitoring. What sources are monitored, what data sources are connected, how the data transferred, analyzed, what rules are used, and also it must define how to tune them and how to make them better. Because when you start, it will always, like in the starting point for a majority of rules doesn't cover all the monitoring requirements for organization. So that's the key points that a good threat model must define. Next, how do we deploy this threat model? How do we use it? So we use it as input for a good SOC strategy. Also, SOC strategy must take the following inputs. Of course, threat model, industry profile. What does it mean? Industry profile defines typical threats and typical characteristics of company in some industry. This industry must be your company's industry. Then, of course, it must take as input best practices, which are defined by vendors or security companies, different books, and we call it just best practices. Then you must define a business-specific security tasks and use cases that are specific only for your organization. Different companies can conduct similar business, but they always have different technologies, and like same corporate processes can be conducted with different solutions and can contain different vulnerabilities. So you must define specific use cases for your company, not the industry standard, but like targeted for your company. Then you, of course, must analyze all previous incidents that were happening in your organization. It will give a lot of insights on how attackers breached your company, what were the vulnerabilities, what systems may lack security or may lack monitoring to detect those breaches. Then we move to geography and country of the company. And interesting point is business and IT strategy, because security is always tied to IT and how it's functioning, because SOC and a good security department can be built only on mature IT infrastructure. So it the strategy of SOC must be tied to IT strategy. Then good SOC must be built together with partners, because companies very rare have a significant amount of resources to build a good SOC. It's because lack of specialists, lack of tasks for those specialists in one company. So typically we see that companies use partners. And of course, you must understand the capabilities of your partners, whether he can build a good SOC for your company, whether he understands your requirements and fits in your budgets. And the final input is a compliance requirement, because some industries have very strict requirements for security monitoring, for security response, and how security should be built in organization. So what will you get in a result? It will be a SOC strategy that will define what are the main SOC tasks, what SOC should do during its work days, what tasks it must cover. So what SOC does in its day-to-day work. Then main SOC goals. It means what responsibilities and what SOC will do in its as its results when it will function on 100% as was expected. Then it will define main processes inside the SOC, because building all processes that can be in SOC can be overwhelming for a company or very expensive for a company. So it must contain only those processes that are required for the company. Then, of course, technical solutions. Every SOC built on top of technical solutions. You must, of course, purchase those solutions. You must evaluate those solutions. And a strategy must contain information. What solutions do you use? Just not to change it during your production environment. Next, resources and budgeting for SOC. It means how many people will be involved to SOC, what are their responsibilities, what are their roles, and even day-to-day tasks, and how much your technical solution and human resources will cost to the company. Next, the timeline. It means you must define the key steps of your SOC building, when a company can expect some of SOC's functionality to be in production, like when will be monitoring, when security monitoring will be conducted, when security response will be conducted, when analytics will be deployed, and so on. And of course, success criteria and indicators. They must be defined just to measure on what SOC maturity level you are at the moment. Building SOC strategy will give you some deliverables, will give your company some of deliverables that we will talk about. The first of all is a SOC model. It will define how your SOC will operate, how it operates, what parts of it consists of, what services it provides, so you can show anyone in your company. Then a clear understanding of what a SOC should do, what tasks are SOC related and what are not. Then it will define a strict borders what SOC, where SOC gathers its information, just not to gather everything possible on the internet or outside your corporate perimeter. And next, strict processes, strict list of processes that should be conducted inside SOC. Next, monitoring scope and use cases. What does it mean? You must define where from you have to gather information just to tie it with a treat model and understand whether you have any white spots. So the best place to do it is on early stages of building your SOC. So you put it just in your SOC strategy, and then during implementation, you can look through this list and understand how much of your infrastructure you covered with the SOC services, what use cases are implemented, whether it is sufficient to monitor all the threats that are relevant to your organization, which were enumerated in treat model. Then, of course, it must contain escalation metrics. It means you must understand who is notified on each of the stages of attack to the company, or on each of the stages of alerts or any type of security incidents, and how notification and reporting is conducted in the company. Next, and the final step, you must define incident response plan. This document must contain information about how incidents are handled in company, what are the outputs of handling those incidents, and so on. That's all for the SOC strategy at the moment. More detailed information will be available in our maybe private conversations. Dmitry, giving word to you.
Yeah, thank you, Konstantin. So before starting any enhancements and improvements to your SOC, you should clearly understand where you currently are. So in order to make this bit easier to understand your current level, there is model that presented with 5 different layers, starting from very beginning and up to the highest one. This model based on maturity of possible SOC, and on the very beginning, very initial level, there is just simple centralized log collection, which covers existing within company systems, solutions, and security, including security solutions. So there is no much automation. Actually, there is no automation at all. Just data collection and manual detection and response on incidents. Other levels, they have different levels of data analysis, data processing, some automation in terms of incident response, and also quite deep analytical techniques in order to detect incidents. The highest level of any SOC is about prediction on incidents that might happen and preventing them before even any of them happened within organization. But this requires quite a lot of data, quite good analytics on data collected. It requires collecting data from third-party sources like threat feeds, and it requires very good team in place that can not only detect and respond on incidents, but predict them also. It is reasonable to say that SOC maturity within company can be much higher than overall company maturity, like business processes, and including IT processes, IT strategy, and etc. Because it's bit it would be a bit strange, and it will not work as expected if security team has lots of automation. However, IT doesn't have automation at all, or they even do not have lots of processes defined. So this will not work as expected. And another important point in here is that you are not capable to achieve highest level before passing through all previous levels. So, for example, if you are on second level, where you perform log aggregations, you have use case defined and detected, you have EDR implemented. So you are not capable to start machine learning analysis, forensics, very deep and detailed. So all this growth should happen organically, and it should lay on previous levels that you should pass through. So how to understand where you are within this model, within this maturity model? Answer on this could be assessment. So in order to understand your current posture, you should conduct a SOC assessment, which should answer a couple of questions. So as Costa already told, each assessment should cover lots of questions related to SOC. Such assessment should provide you with current information about SOC coverage. So which systems are covered with SOC, which not. Maybe you have some specific infrastructure topologies that not all systems should be covered with SOC, or you might have a couple SOC teams in case you are distributed around the world, or you have other organizational structure. So all this should be considered, and you should clearly understand what's the scope, what is out of scope, which goals are you trying to achieve within SOC. You should also understand security controls that are in place, that are missing. Maybe some of existing controls are not effective enough, or might be they are legacy and you do not need them anymore. So all this should be clarified with SOC assessment. Another important topic for SOC assessment is SOC team, and questions that should be addressed with SOC assessment. They should answer if your team staffed enough or not, if team is well educated, or maybe they lack some knowledge. From another point, your team might be overqualified, and in case you have not very mature SOC, your team will be boring with tasks they do with daily routines, with all such stuff, and there is high risk that you might your SOC team members might leave company because they are not interested in what they are doing right now. Other topics like governance, like processes and procedures within SOC. So all this should be discussed during assessment, and you should get clear picture on your existing SOC. So who should attend, who should provide such SOC, or who should conduct it? There is two approaches, you can conduct it with internal resources, maybe some internal auditor or some other employee with such role, or you can reach out to any partner, to third-party companies, and can assist you with that. Both approaches has their pros and cons. For the first approach, assessment done with internal resources, such auditor will definitely better understand your business model, your business processes, what's goal, and in details, I mean, which goals and how everything works within your company. Such internal auditor should be aware about incidents that happened happened already, and this means that he should have such clearance, and he can rely on them, on this information, while he assessing your SOC. And for sure, such assessment might happen as a permanent process on daily basis or regularly. So you can conduct such assessments each month, for example, and you might move like smoothly on that. However, if you decide to reach out to third party, to partner, in most cases, this is more cost effective because such assessment is done as a project with defined terms, and it can be done for some limited period of time without bothering your resources and your team. Usually, such audit is performed by experienced team of architects or team of auditors that have lots of questionnaires that are based on best practices, on recommendations, on previous incidents or previous assessments. Such team usually understands which issues happens with SOC within different companies, and that's all about expertise. So they have quite good expertise because they do it quite often, and they see different organizations with different levels. And another important point in here is that third-party auditors, they usually have more knowledge about latest security approaches, latest security solutions, or vulnerabilities, or all these important aspects that might affect results of audit, or might allow you to improve your SOC, considering all this knowledge on all this data. Another important point for SOC management and SOC assessment is metrics. So there is a known saying that you do not control what you are not capable to measure, and metrics should exist within your SOC, and you should use them to measure your SOC, to measure effectiveness of your SOC. How is it performing? How is it good? And all such things. So in general, metrics should give you some additional information, so they should point your attention on important things, and ideally they should give you enough information to make decisions if everything goes well, or what should be improved in order to have SOC more better. So such metrics should indicate personal or service performance, personal performance of your analysts and of SOC service in general. They should allow you to compare your existing situation, existing security posture to previous states. So you should see dynamics, how is everything going better or maybe worse. And that's it actually. So there are examples of good and bad metrics. Among of bad metrics are such as number of events collected, number of incidents generated, maybe number of incidents escalated on a higher level. Why it's almost useless? Because if you have some number, for example, 100, it says you nothing before you start comparing this information to other data from previous periods. So without such comparison, you will just see some number without any additional input, if it's good or bad, if everything going better or not. So that's it. However, there are examples of better metrics, like number of incidents generated by severity with historical data. You can see example of such metrics on chart on the right part of the screen. So you can see that number of incidents changing with time. So you can decide, you can evaluate what has been done, what lead to what was the cause for increasing number of incidents or decreasing, and you can have some input on that. You can use such metric as a relation to generated versus closed tickets. So it will indicate how your SOC is performing. Is your team resources, human resources, enough to handle incidents, or it's not enough, and you should do something like automation of known incidents, just to offload your team from manual routines. You can also add to previous metric some information about current incident backlog versus number of analysts available to handle. So you will see if your backlog growing or it's becoming smaller, and you can see how much time do you spend to take incidents, any others into processing with team. And another important metric could be number of incidents reported by customer or third party, because if your SOC team miss something, that might that definitely should tell you that you should improve your visibility, your scope, or you should improve your use cases that you currently control. Because they are missing something, they are missing some important alerts, and you are not capable to detect them within your team, within your SOC. Yep, Konstantin, please.
Thank you. So next, what we are going to talk about is ramping up SOC effectiveness. This theme is about those cases when you have improved your SOC too much or connected a lot of log sources, and you like have a lot of information, but it's not useful. Your CM is overloaded, your human resources are overloaded, but no true positive incidents are detected, and breaches happen time to time. So these are three main steps to increase SOC effectiveness. The first one is optimization of SOC coverage. What does it mean? Some security solutions collect a lot of data. In our example, we will take ER solution. It collects information about processes, about network communications, registry changes, and so on. And a lot of customers also collect the same data to their CM solution using Sysmon. In this case, you can optimize your SOC coverage by deciding what information or pieces or parts of information is more useful through EDR or through CM. And also in this step, you can decide whether you need to conduct such information gathering using both solutions in all of your network segments. For example, you can collect all that data using EDR and Sysmon to your CM solution only on critical assets, but leave EDR on endpoints or pre-production or test servers. It will significantly free up resources in your CM or hardware resources, and also will decrease the false positive incidents for your team. The next major step is optimize collected events. What does it mean? Sometimes SOC collects a lot of events that are not very useful for SOC. But all those events are consuming resources to store them, to process them, or even to transfer them to CM solution. So this approach allows you to optimize collected events. And the first step here is exclude unnecessary events. What are the unnecessary events? All those events that are not taking part in incident investigation, in threat hunting, and so on. But still they are collected and they are using your CM resources. The next step here is to reduce noisy events. What does it mean? Some events are useful for SOC, but still there are a lot of such events, millions, I'd say, of such events. They all are collected, but they are used in low priority analytical rules and don't deliver a lot of context or useful information. So these events can be reduced from your monitoring scope. If it won't help to optimize the SOC, there is a third step. When you leaving only those events that are required for your analytical rules or correlation rules, depends on CM. So you have to build a matrix where you will tie all event IDs or event names or just events to analytical rules where they are used, and turn off all other or collect only those that appear in this matrix. And it will significantly reduce the amount of events that are collected by SOC. And of course, it can be different metrics for different network segments, like endpoints can be monitored slightly lesser than server segments. And the fourth, the final step for SOC optimization, for events optimization, is aggregation. This step is when you analyze what events are necessary for SOC and they are noisy. So these events can be like tied together or aggregated, and CM will receive only information on how much of those events were happening during a period of time. And this approach allows us to optimize amount of events in different projects from 3 to 5 times, and for some of very bulky solutions, we saw optimization up to 100 times. Next, the third step is team effectiveness optimization. Sometimes analysts can have a lot of routine work, a lot of repetitive alerts, and so on. So they are become a little bored on their workplace, and they can miss something important. What can we do when something happens like that, or to prevent happening this situation? First of all, automate boring stuff. There are a lot of incidents that happen in organization, but all of them are false positive and can be closed automatically with the development of appropriate automation rules. So if you have such alerts that consume a lot of companies' time, you can use metrics that Dmitry told about to investigate for such rules or such correlations and automate them. And it will free up a lot of teams resources and give them a lot of motivation for new investigations and new approaches and development of new, more effective rules. The second step is change team members' focus. What does it mean? Experienced analysts sometimes need new projects or like switch tasks that he does on his work. So if we switch him with one of red team members for a short period of time, he will obtain a new skills and new abilities. He will get a lot of knowledge on how attacks are conducted, how red teamers and threat actors are moving in the organizations, what tools are used, and what artifacts they are leaving in the company. And this analyst will significantly improve his work time with this new knowledge. And this moves us to the final step, which is cybersecurity training. Of course, everyone, not depending on his level, needs training time to time, where he will talk to his new colleagues, friends, and so on, and obtain new information, new insights for his day-to-day work. Next slide, please. The next major part of improving SOC is asset inventory. Why is it important? The first requirement for building a SOC is know your infrastructure. So only knowing your infrastructure well, you can build good monitoring, build good analytical rules, understand what's happening inside. So the asset inventory is a process where you try to gather as much information as possible about your infrastructure and make it visible or accessible in structured way. So you like start to gathering information of what assets are communicating in your infrastructure, on what ports. Then you enrich this information with some sort of static data. I mean that data where asset owners are defined, where IT systems are tied to those assets, and so on. And this allows you to generate a big table or a big knowledge base where you will see what systems do you have, who is responsible for them, how they are working, and other valuable information. What it will give you or your organization? It will help detect anomalies, because asset inventory have to like give an overview, retrospective overview about what was changed, what parameters were changed, and so on. And it also must allow to detect those assets that are not defined or not tied to any IT systems or workstations and so on. And this will help you detect breaches, new devices that are connected to infrastructure, illegitimate devices, and in some cases prevent those attacks that we're planning in the future. Of course, knowing what software is installed on each of production servers will help you identify installation of new software when attackers are already breached the server but preparing next stages of the attack. And also during this process, we conduct a review stage. When this information reviewed by team members from time to time, during which we detect whether naming conventions are met on each of the hosts, whether configurations are right, and so on. And it helps identify IT errors, deployment script errors, or even security errors that will prevent breaches in the future. We can move on to the next slide. And the next step for SOC improvement is purple teaming. What is it? It is a process when blue team and red team are tied together to make organizations' security a lot better. How does pen testers or red teamers can enhance SOC? During pen test, you can conduct an investigation on what are pen testers doing in infrastructure and try to monitor and detect all the steps that were taken by them. Then this report can be reviewed by pen testers, and as a result, you will understand what was detected and what was not, what vulnerabilities were exploited, and it remained silent for your SOC team. So what was not detected and where no evidence were collected, like white spots in security monitoring. As a result, you will significantly improve monitoring, and also you can decide whether you should increase visibility of some network segments or even decrease those visibilities or monitoring, whether you have to develop a new use cases, monitoring or analytical rules, correlation rules also. So at the end, pen testing will significantly improve abilities and skills of your SOC team. And how SOC team or blue teamers can enhance your pen testing group. When pen testers typically conduct their activities, they are just trying to find the vulnerabilities and report them. When they know that they are monitored by SOC team, they try to also find ways to evade that monitoring or even use new techniques, new vulnerabilities to reach the same target, like breach the server or service or move through the network to other assets. So it will make your pen testing team work more effectively. And as a result, your organization's security will receive more findings, and you will close more vulnerabilities and prevent another new breaches and decrease the risks for your infrastructure. So that's all about purple teaming. Dmitry, back to you.
Thank you, Konstantin. While deciding on where you are, how to implement SOC and how to enhance it, you should consider that you have two options. You can implement and improve SOC by yourself, or you can reach out to partner um, to get SOC as a managed service. So we Infopulse are providing such service to our customers, and there are some benefits of having such service from third party, which we would like to talk about a little bit today. So first and most important is cost effectiveness of such approach, because very few organizations can have such a lot of events, security incidents that can fully load security team which works 24/7. Usually that's not the case, and if incidents are not enough, such team will be not loaded enough, so they will definitely have idle time, which usually is not possible to use with other projects or other tasks, because task of SOC team is monitoring that should be performed in real time. However, in case you use SOC from or you get SOC from your partner, partner usually has a team of SOC members that are shared between a couple of customers, and that's allowed to load such team, fully load such team with incidents on 24/7 model. So in such case, you pay only for some part of team, and that's the point where you can avoid some extra spending. Maturity level of security. So you, while getting SOC from a partner, you will reach out to experienced company which already have processes in place. They are working. They have effective metrics, and what will allow you to implement processes inside your organization, which will increase your overall security level quite fast and quite easily. Optimize operational activities is about your internal processes and procedures. So while implementing some SOC processes from your partner, you will require to define responsible for some types of incidents. You might improve your internal processes. You might get rid of some processes that you should take care about before, and everything that will allow you to concentrate on your existing operational tasks and make them better. Also, service from third party allows to perform proactive threat detection, because we analyze quite lots of information about indicators of compromise, about most trending incidents. So you will see everything like that. We will control everything like that. We will see such indicators triggering within our customers, so we can improve our existing rules, we can enhance them, and we are distributing all this knowledge among all our customers. That's why you will get some more proactive information about threats that are relevant for your company. Data compliance. Lots of regulations require SOC to be in place, security monitoring, centralized logs collection, etc. So you can easily get everything like that from a partner. you can get some specific compliance reports that might require. Lots of reports are already prepared on our site, so you can just get them, or you can get them, enhance it, customize it a little bit, and use for your compliance needs. IT infrastructure visibility is Costa told today. So while starting providing SOC service, we perform audit. We implement our solution on asset management, and this allows to detect some legacy systems, hidden systems that no one understands why they are existing and what they are doing, which communications they take part in, and which services do they provide. Lots of such information might become visible, and you might be aware about it, and you might decide what to do with such assets. Security awareness. If you have security awareness program, it can, for your employees, it can be enhanced with outputs from SOC team, because they respond to incidents. They send you recommendations on how to prevent incidents if they happen again. So you can enhance your security awareness program accordingly, and this means that your employees will be aware about how to respond on real incidents that happening with your company or may happen again. So this is very practical recommendations, I will say. And for sure, it's customization part. We have lots of predefined authority. We can enhance service and platform to fit your needs, your requirements. So you can get custom use cases, custom reports, custom integrations if you have some specific application, and it should be covered with SOC monitoring. So we can do everything like that, and to fit your needs, to meet your expectations. Actually, that's all we planned to talk about today. If you have any questions, you're welcome to ask them.
Colleagues, thank you very much. And I want to say that we have two questions actually. And so I will read them one by one, okay? So the first one is, can you tell us please about sample findings detected during SOC?
Kostya, will you answer?
Of course, I think it's not full. During SOC assessment, maybe, or it's not a full.
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, so I will try to answer what are the typical findings or most findings in our SOC assessment projects. The first one is a lack of security monitoring or security visibility. It happens because not all necessary logs are moved to CM, or maybe all systems are connected and they are not providing necessary information, so they have to be upgraded or redeployed and so on. The second typical problem that we see is a lack of analytics. It's when events are collected, but they are not utilized by proper analytical rules, and SOC team can not detect in a proper time incidents or that breach was happening and so on. And the third typical problem that we face with is vulnerabilities due to lack of security upgrades. I think that's the top 3 for us, but typically we detect, I think, 20 problems, and we provide up to 20 recommendations to fix them.
Thank you, Kostya, very much. And the next one is, how long in general is SOC assessment?
I can answer. So actually, it depends. It depends on company size. It depends on how company is ready to participate the assessment, because assessment includes a lots of meetings, a lots of data collection sessions. However, in average, we can say that SOC assessment process for average organization, not too big, might take from 1 month and up to 2 months, starting project initiation and up to report presentation to the customer.
Okay, I think that's all. Thank you very much. I would like to tell once again that we will send all our materials, the presentation material which was presented today by my colleagues, and also the video recording of this webinar. We will send it shortly till the end of the week. And by the way, in such occasion, I would like also to invite you to join our panel discussion, which will take place on July 5th. It's about surviving uncertainty and cyber threats in a global business. This is going to be a case of Infopulse. It will be very interesting, and I really hope that you will come and you will join it. So thank you very much. Have a great day, and please wait for our recording of this webinar. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.